Avatar Meher Baba ki Jai. So let us start with the three favorite couplets. And given we have Kama with his new hardware, let's test his audio. Kama, why don't you read the three messages?
Jai Baba.
Kama, yeah,
Hmm.
right.
Befitting a fortunate slave, carry out every command of the master without any question of why and what. About what you hear from the master, never say it is wrong, because, my dear, the fault lies in your own incapacity to understand him. I am slave of the master who has released me from ignorance. Whatever my master does is of the highest benefit to all concerned. So I'm going to read it again.
Sure.
Being befitting a fortunate slave, Kama, carry out every command of the master, Avatar Meher Baba, without any question of why and what. About what you, Kama, hear from the master, Avatar Meher Baba, never say it is wrong. Because, my dear Kama, the fault lies in your Kama's own incapacity to understand him, Avatar Meher Baba. I am Kama, slave of the master, Avatar Meher Baba, who has released me, Kama, from ignorance. Whatever my master, Avatar Meher Baba, does is of the highest benefit to all concerned. Avatar Meher Baba ki jai.
That's a nice twist. And I think we should read it like that once in a while to remind us and drill it in. Thank you. Thank you so much for reading. And by the way, audio is top notch. You came through very well. Okay. So last time, I think it was almost all of us who were there this morning. Were there last Saturday. We had this beautiful session where we learned. In fact, the chapter itself is called Shama Parwana and some memorable incidents. So Baba talks about Naz and Niyaz and the concept of the moth and the flame. So subsequently, I've also shared this article separately in a PDF, and I think it's worthy of reading again and again and understanding what Baba is trying to say in this. Yeah. Any thoughts before we continue? Okay. So, anybody wants to start by reading
I
first?
start if it's okay. Uh,
Yeah, sure. Please go ahead. So, we start from Barbadi and
Avatar
Abadi.
Meher Baba ki jai, Barbadi and Abadi, ruin and prosperity. The hushed atmosphere in the room after Baba concluded the absorbing discourse on Shama and Parvana did not last long. One of the local organizers approached Baba and started discussing the morning program of house visits with him. He, Satyanarayana, was scheduled to have Baba come to his home first. But as in Uluru, Baba on his own changed the schedule and went to visit someone who was not in the list at all. B. Bhaskara Raju.
So, B. Bhaskar Raju is the Tadepaligudam. Tadepaligudam Burrakata. Burrakata Bhaskar Raju.
Hmm.
Is actually Balgopal Bhaskar.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, isn't he the Burrakata exponent?
Ye- Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So Balagopala Bhaskara. Sorry about that.
And does he come to Mehrabad? I don't know. I've met some.
No, no, no. He is. I don't think he comes anymore. I'm not sure about that. His son is the one that does the anchoring on Amartati. Meher Isha.
Ah,
Marisha.
Meher
He
Isha.
passed away. Balgopal
I
Bhaskar
was not
passed away a
sure.
long time ago.
Yeah, I was not sure because I think not long time. I think he has done Burakata in the U.S. in 2007, 8 or something like that, because I saw something online. So I was not sure if he's passed away, but he's pretty old because he appears to be fairly old even in a 80s or 90s video that I saw. So yeah, I was not sure, but if you're sure, yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, let's
The
continue.
previous day, K. Shastri had asked Bhaskara, "Is Baba going to visit your home tomorrow?" "I don't know," he replied. "Don't you know the program of house visits?" Shastri asked incredulously and then added, "Tomorrow Baba will visit your home." A little later, when Bhaskara saw Dhanapati, he mentioned this, and Dhanapati told him that his name was not on the list of those to be visited by Baba. "Come to my house," Dhanapati said, as he thought in that way Bhaskara would be able to have at least some time with Baba in the morning, since Baba was definitely going to visit his house. Bhaskara did not know what to do. One member of KDRM assured him that Baba wasn't going to visit his house, but another told him just the opposite. Deciding finally to follow Dhanapati's suggestion, he and his wife left their house on the morning of 26th and went to Dhanapati's house. In the in the meantime, Baba had left the travelers' bungalow and had gone straight to their house. No one was there, of course, and Baba sat on a chair on the veranda for a few moments and then left, expressing his displeasure that Bhaskara was not there to greet him. Hearing this, Dhanpati suddenly recalled the conversation he had had the previous day, and realizing that Bhaskara must have gone to his house, rushed home in a car to bring Baba to him. Uh, to, to bring him to Baba, sorry. Uh, Bhaskara and his wife got into Dhanapati's car, but by the time they returned to their home, Baba had left. In fact, he had already visited D. Satyanarayana as well, and by the time they caught up with Baba, his car was stopped near the home of B. Papi Raju. Baba gave Bhaskara a piercing look as he approached the car, and one glance was enough to plunge him into a vortex of emotions. Baba gestured. "Where were you when the God man himself came to visit your house?" "Baba," he replied with downcast eyes, "I was misled. I was waiting at doctor's house for your darshan." He was obviously upset as he uttered those words. Bhaskara is a thin, even frail person, and although he tried to keep his emotions hidden inside, his face was flushed with the feeling, and a moment later he wept openly like a child. Seeing this state, Baba asked him about his health, and then, affectionately and without warming, reached out and tickled him. In spite of in spite of himself, Bhaskara began to laugh, and Baba added, "Now go home quickly and wait for me. I will visit your house again after visiting all the other homes."
Oh, wow. That's how special Bhaskar Raju was.
Yes. And also the compassion of Baba comes out in this. So
Yes.
he and his wife went home immediately while Baba proceeded to Papi Raju's house. Baba had visited there during his first Andhra tour the previous year. At that time, Papi was working in a firm called MB and Sons. But the day Baba left Andhra, Coincidentally, Bapi was discharged from his job. He took this as Baba's blessing and was delighted that now he could work full time, not for MB and Sons, only for MB, Meher Baba. Baba had instructed that a small sum of money be given to Bapi to be used in the work of spreading Baba's message of love and truth. Bapi had used this amount for train and bus fares to enable him to go from town to town, but he hadn't spent even a pie of it for food or personal comforts. He still had 5 rupees left from the small sum given to him. The sincerity with which Bapi was doing the work pleased Baba, and he remarked that although in the eyes of the world Bapi was a poor man, he and his family members were fortunate to be rich in Baba's love. Baba remarked that such love was rare and that added, even if such lovers were to forget me, I would not forget them. Baba continued, I am the avatar, I am the perfect master, I am whatever you take me to be. I am what I am, and in fact, I am beyond that too. Those who love Baba may have to pass through a phase of suffering, but out of this barbadi, ruin, emerges the real abadi, prosperity. Shall we halt for a comment because it's. Can I read it again, please? The last paragraph. Karthik, can I read it again? Hello?
Yeah. One
Yes,
second.
go ahead.
I got a comment to make. Did we ever came during the previous visit about Bapiraju's bringing hot water to Baba?
No.
Their daughter, Bapiraju's daughter, the family are very close to us
Okay.
in Vijayawada. And his grandsons are also, actually, that grandson, one of the grandson was here in Michigan recently, and I had a chance to review Divine Theme with him. The story about this Bapiraju was they're very poor and they believe they love Baba and they don't know what to give. So what his wife does is she heats up some water, puts in a big binda. You know what is binda? The water
Pot,
carrying
pot,
big
pot,
pot like
pot.
that,
Yeah.
big pot, yeah.
Yeah.
And then she tells him to take it to Baba. And then he was kind of hesitant because they never asked for hot water or anything. But anyway, because wife told him, he puts this art on his head and goes to this guest house where Baba is staying. And outside, one of the mandali was watching, and they said, no, Baba doesn't allow anybody now. Go away. He says, I brought this hot water for him. And Baba somehow comes to know that he brought the hot water. He asks, who is at the gate? He says, this Bapiraj who came with the hot water. So he calls him and he said, yes, I would like to use this water. That is the small story. It was connected with the
Great.
Bapiraj.
Very interesting.
And then he goes to his house also, I think.
Okay. Yeah, I think Bapirana's house he goes now. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Ashok, you were saying something.
Yeah, and I'm saying it's a gesture of love which Baba always portrays. So, and even in the earlier thing, he said, I'll visit your house. So there's lot of, I mean, understanding and compassion for his lovers.
Yeah.
Uh, Gesturing at Baba, gesturing at Bapi, sorry, Baba commented cryptically, he is now sinking in sand, and next he will be floating in air, and finally he will find himself established on a firm foundation. His fingers gesturing with grace yet rapidly, Baba expanded on this comment. The following is the gist of what I gathered from Baba's impromptu comments. The average man of the world feels as if he has a stable position, but remains ignorant of the fact that his very security is like a pool of quicksand which will drag him down. Those who are comfortable in the world seek even more comfort, and there is no end to this seeking to further solidify one's position. But the only way to achieve permanent stability is to not depend on worldly security. Invariably, lovers of Baba do not seek a worldly refuge. In their overwhelming love for their beloved, these lovers are unmindful of all calamities or suffering. The only thing they can cling to is their love. Here, there are they are like particles of dust floating in the air. I just wanted to say that this is very much relevant to me. I've been going through a lot of last 14 months, lot of visits between home and hospital. But as soon as this type of love for the beloved blossoms in their heads, the love itself becomes their refuge. So they find themselves before long established on a rock like foundation of unshakable faith, a profound conviction in the beloved as love itself.
I was reminded of what you shared with me yesterday, uh, Ashok. So, very, very beautiful message. Very beautiful message. To him who suffers in my darbar without complaint, I will give the greatest benefit.
Thank you for
It's
sharing
reminded
it.
of this. Yeah.
You're saying something? Sorry.
No, that's it. Go ahead.
As for Bapi Raju, he had to pass through some really difficult times. There was even a day when his wife told him that there was no food in the house. Just then, help came, but that's a different story. However, now, after a period of 32 years, he is well off financially, and his conviction in beloved Baba as the highest of the high continues to deepen and mature. To quote a Sufi mystic, on some occasions he gives by depriving you. Sometimes he deprives you in giving. To accept cheerfully the refusals and favors of the divine beloved in a spirit of total surrender to his will is to invite his grace. Uh, Karthik, if you
Beautiful
can,
words of Natu, Bal Natu, to
yes,
accept cheerfully the refusals and favors of the divine beloved in a spirit of total surrender to his will is to invite his grace.
yeah, exactly. And my thoughts were that please underline this. Yeah. Flavors of intimacy. Baba continued with his house visits at Sadapali Gudam. At each home, there was a different expression of Baba's intimacy with his lovers. Baba's physical presence made a deep inroad into the consciousness of his dear ones, creating a path, as it were, along which their love would flow to him more easily and more directly. These house visits helped them learn to house him in their hearts. At one place, the daughter of a Baba lover, whom Baba called a fine man, could not contain herself and wept uncontrollably at seeing Baba. With great tenderness, Baba consoled her with his divine touch. At another place, Baba was asked to give a name to the family's 12-day-old son. The 12th day happens to the day on which Hindus name their newborn sons. Baba looked amused at this request and spelled out Meher Kumar on his board. While visiting the home of a Baba lover who was in charge of the transportation arrangements, Baba casually inquired, "How many children have you?" "Seven," was the reply, and Baba looked delighted. When Baba, whether Baba was pleased with the fact that he had so many children, or particularly with the number seven, was impossible to say. Perhaps he would have seemed as delighted had the man said one. At one home, Pandits chanted Sanskrit verses to honor Baba, and Baba gave handfuls of sweets to the son of the host, instructing him that he should have one each day while remembering Baba. Wherever Baba found people ailing in the homes he visited, he prescribed special medication for them to take, usually along with his name. Baba went to visit the Ganesh rice mill where the previous day the poor feeding program had been held. Baba remarked, "I am the poorest of the poor, so whosoever serves the poor serves me." During this visit, it was brought to Baba's attention that Dhanapati had forgotten to introduce some of his close family to him. Baba teased Dhanapati by remarking, "No one in the world is forgotten by me, and you forgot a few of your very close ones. What sort of memory have you?" And he smiled a Baba smile. At one point, as they were traveling, Baba's car had to wait at a railway crossing. Baba got down from the car and then, to everyone's surprise, walked into a nearby shop, ostensibly to get out of the sun. The Mandli, meanwhile, were told to stay outside in the sun, which was quite intense. But almost immediately, some clouds came and gave them relief. Baba also visited the hut of a poor family and sat on the ground with them for a while. This visit, this visit had not been scheduled. At the Divine Life Society, Baba was received with great respect, and the following excerpts from their welcoming address give some idea of their reverence for Baba. It is a great pleasure for us to present this address to you on the occasion of your second visit to this branch. We, close, we closely followed your latest message, the highest of the high. It recalls the word of Lord Sri Krishna to Arjuna, demanding complete surrender to him with body, mind, and all your words. Make me your constant companion, are ever roaring in our ears. Please permit us to declare to the public that you do not belong to any limited circle, but belong to one and all, the culture, the entire world. It is neither possible nor practical to detail all the homes Baba visited or narrate all of the special incidents of love which transpired during those visits, but perhaps something of the flavor of intimacy of these encounters between the beloved and his lovers can be found in the above. Tears bring you closer to him. After completing all the other home visits, as he had promised earlier, Baba returned to Bhaskar Raju's house where he and his wife were waiting for the beloved godman. They paid their respects to Baba, who sat down on a folding cot. Bhaskar's eyes feasted on Baba's beautiful and radiant face. Baba gestured, "Sing a nice song for me, but be quick. I have to go to Gopalapuram." Bhaskara sang a song which he had composed in Hindi. Later, it was recomposed in Telugu and has become a popular song among Baba lovers in Andhra. Baba looked pleased with the song. Originally, Bhaskara and his wife had not expected Baba to visit their home. And later, when Baba assured them that he would, he also instructed them to go straight there and wait for him. So they had not been able to get any fruits or sweets to offer to him. This meant that Baba could not bless what was offered to him, and that it and then have it distributed as his prasad to those in the house. Although Bhaskara and his wife hadn't mentioned this, Baba suddenly asked Bhaskara's wife to get him a glass of water. She did so, thinking that Baba must be thirsty, but instead of drinking it, Baba merely dipped his fingers with water and gave the glass back, commenting, "Distribute the water as my prasad." Before he left, Baba again called Bhaskara's wife to him and pointing at Bhaskara remarked, "He is my man. I hand him over to you. Look after him carefully." Bhaskara has been blessed by Baba with a strong conviction in his divinity, and he continues to travel throughout Andhra to spread his message of love and truth. A footnote to Baba's visit to Bhaskara's house can be added now as well. While there, Baba asked for the children to be called to him. Bharti, who was 3 or 4 at that time, was eating or drinking something in the kitchen. When she was called to see Baba, she replied, "I'll come when I finish." But by the time she came out, Baba had left. Over the subsequent 3 decades, although Bhaskara had many opportunities to be in Baba's company or to attend gathering of his lovers, it always seemed that something came up which prevented Bharti from joining the family on such occasions. In January 1985, just before Amar Tithi, she visited Mehrazad for the first time along with the family. In our conversation, Baba's visit to her family in 1954 was mentioned, and then hatingly told me how she had missed her chance to see Baba.
She then haltingly told me.
Yeah, okay.
Haltingly, yeah, yeah. It's okay.
Why didn't I go at once when I was called? She wondered, aloud in obvious regret and repentance. Why did he prompt me to go to him? Why did he allow me to miss my chance? She exclaimed in distress and began to weep. I replied, because he is compassionate. Compassionate? How? She asked, hiding her head in her sari so I would not see her crying. Perhaps so that you perhaps so that you should weep in his remembrance and love him more someday, I suggested. But why did it have to take 30 years before I could come here to have his darshan? Baba knows the opportune moment when you are shedding tears in love for him will bring him closer to him. And 30 years of waiting to receive such a great blessing is nothing. By this time, not only were tears rolling down her cheeks, but mine as well. However, I managed to conclude, each drop of your tears will cleanse your heart. This will bring you closer to him, and you will find him walking toward you. The next day, I met Bharti at Mehrabad and casually remarked, so at last you have come to Mehrabad. This once again brought the tears to the surface, and I continued, now you must be feeling Baba getting closer to you. Mind you, he may walk so fast that soon the span of 30 years will, by his grace, be quickly crossed. At this, we both laughed freely. Uh,
Okay.
this could
Very
be a point
interesting.
where would anybody else want to read, or should I continue?
Oh, yeah, we can rotate. I was also thinking of the same because you said you have to leave for
No, no,
doctors
it's
or
not,
whatever.
not just that. It's also others should get a chance to read.
Yes. Anybody
Yes,
wants to
Thank,
read?
yes, I
thank
will read for some time.
Yeah, please, 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 please. Jaiva.
you.
Baba sits majestically atop his car. After the house visit at Tadepalligudam, Baba left for Gopalpuram. On the way, he stopped at a small village, Ramachandrapuram. Here, everyone seemed to know of Baba and had great reverence for him. After a small darshan program, Baba's arti was sung in chorus, and then all proceeded to Gopalpuram. They arrived there around 3 in the afternoon. Arrangements for Baba's brief stay had been made in the house of M.N. Swami, who had vacated it for Baba's use. On arriving, they found that tea was already ready and the mandli were requested to have it immediately. The tea was to be served in a nearby place and Baba permitted the mandli, even including Erich, to leave him and have tea. Only Bhaskar Rao was left waiting with Baba. Baba seemed restless and walked from room to room in the house, a characteristic of his when engaged in inner working. In the meantime, some of the people who had gathered around the house waiting for the darshan program began climbing over the compound walls so they could approach the house and see Baba. Bhaskara saw this and was upset at this breach of discipline. His inner desire was to go out and reprimand those who were threatening to disturb Baba's privacy. Although thin and not particularly strong, he was full of fervor where Baba was concerned. Knowing what was in his mind, Baba turned to him and gestured that he shouldn't worry. But Bhaskara was still boiling within. Baba walked over to him and lovingly put his hands on his shoulders and gently pushed him until he was seated on the window sill. Now there was no question of disobeying and leaving Baba's presence to scold the interloper. A little later, Baba gave Bhaskar some tea and biscuits, which had been kept in the house for him. Baba looked at him with love and tears gathered in Bhaskara's eyes. Such intimate moments with Baba which bring tears coursing down one's cheek, coursing down one's cheeks, whether they occur in dreams or during one's silent inner communication with him, link a person to his presence and softly push the individual closer to the indivisible one, Baba. Baba continued to seem restless. However, he was displeased that people were forced to wait outside in the hot sun for him, while his mandli were leisurely having their tea. When Dhanapati returned, Baba asked him whether he had called Baba there for the sake of the villagers or for that he could entertain the mandli. Baba continued, I will wait here for only 5 more minutes. Remember, I have come for those people and not for a picnic or tea party for the mandli. I don't like the idea of sitting here when people are waiting for me there at the pandal. Once I lose my mood, I might beat you. Don't act like a fool. Shortly thereafter, Baba left for the pandal, arriving there by around 3:30. The hot sun did not seem to deter the crowd, for even as Baba arrived, more people could be seen flocking to the area. From nowhere, clouds suddenly appeared and it began to drizzle. As soon as Aarti was started, it began raining more steadily and the heat was immediately dissipated and a nice cool atmosphere prevailed. The villagers considered this sudden, brief, and unexpected shower most auspicious, and who knows, perhaps indeed the rain was a tangible result of Baba's compassion for those who had stood in the hot sun waiting for him. People in the pandal started to stand up so they could have a better view of Baba. As people stood, those sitting behind them had to stand as well so they could see. Soon there was a good deal of confusion and unrest in the gathering as all started trying to get a better glimpse of Baba. Baba stood up so all could see him and then walked to each side of the dais and folded his hands to the crowds, asking them to please remain seated. Copies of one of the prepared messages, Relief from Suffering, in Telugu and in English, were distributed to the people. The message, though brief, has the profound simplicity of Buddha's four noble truths. It reads, man or woman, whether rich or poor, great or small, each is under the spell of some sort of suffering. The relief from every kind of suffering is within yourself. If you try under all circumstances and in every walk of life to think honestly, act honestly, and live honestly, when you put your wholehearted faith in God, the relief is found. You are already in possession of infinite power and happiness, but it is your way of life which prevents you from enjoying these eternal treasures of God. As the leaflets were being passed out, the crowd again began to get restless. Baba once more stood and asked all to sit down. Then Baba himself sat on the top of the backrest of his chair so that everyone could have a better view of him. The crowd was too large.
Uh, can we read the last paragraph or some portion of that paragraph
Ah,
again?
okay.
Man or woman?
This one?
Man
Yeah.
or woman, man or woman, whether rich or poor, great or small, each is under the spell of some sort of suffering. The relief from every kind of suffering is within yourself. If you try, under all circumstances and in every walk of life, to think honestly, act honestly, and live honestly. When you put your wholehearted faith in God, the relief is found. Uh, Most important here is to think honestly. Act, we may put up an act also, but to think honestly is the most important thing. So that is the difficult aspect. So if you achieve that, acting and living honestly will automatically flow out. When you are put, yeah, when you put your wholehearted faith in God, the relief is found. You are already in possession of infinite power and happiness, but it is your way of life which prevents you from enjoying these eternal treasures of God. As the leaflets were being passed out, the crowd again began to get restless. Baba once more stood and asked all to sit down. Then Baba himself sat on the top of the backrest of his chair so that everyone could have a better view of him. The crowd was too large, perhaps more than 13,000, for Baba to give prasad to each in the limited time he had he had available. So Baba touched the sweet to be distributed later and then left the platform and went to his car. This precipitated a headlong rush towards Baba's car. Many had brought sweets and garlands to offer Baba, and seeing that they would have no opportunity to do so, they now began throwing their garlands before Baba's car. A veritable rain of flowers poured down. Baba's car was like an island in the middle of a river of humanity, thus filled, yes, uh, that swirled about, flooding its banks because the ocean of love was now in its midst. After the car had gone only a short distance, Baba had it stopped and then got down and sat underneath a tree so his lovers would have another opportunity to see him. But the multitude was so vast that those at the back still could not get a glimpse of Baba. Therefore, Baba climbed up to the roof of the car and stood there for a few moments and then sat for a while so all could see him. Meanwhile, poor Kumar had to scramble as best as he could up the back of the car so that he could hold an umbrella over Baba's head. But Baba himself seemed unmindful of the sun as he sat there looking out over the large assembly. Seeing Baba sitting so majestically atop the car, the people spontaneously started singing bhajans, glorifying him. Truly, it was a spectacle that would have melted the hardest heart. Luckily, there is some brief footage in the Andhra film capturing this heart-stirring event.
I mean, words cannot do justice to that. It's a beautiful video. It's a very, very beautiful video. And like he said, it just everyone's heart will just melt. Baba is looking so radiant. Baba is, oh man, it's a beautiful video.
The crowd was so unexpectedly large because villagers had come not from Gopalpuram but from many of the surrounding villages as well, traveling by bullock carts so as not to miss this rare opportunity of seeing the avatar, God in human form, in their midst. Baba was here for only three-quarters of an hour, and yet the crowd seemed to enjoy every moment spent in his Only a brief message had been delivered. There had been no time for singing bhajans during the program, and Baba had not distributed prasad personally. Yet he filled the darshan grounds with the music of his silence, filled the grounds with the music of his silence, and the sweetness of his presence radiated from the top of the car. Simultaneous rest and restlessness, simultaneous rest and restlessness. Baba left Gopalpuram for Nidado Volu at around 4:15 p.m. The road in places was just a country paved road, and Baba's lover had put flags along it as it would. It wound through the fields so that Baba's caravan would know which way to go. Some of the mandli were reminded of Baba's Hamirpur tour, especially when Baba stopped the car and gave darshan to groups of his lovers waiting on the road for him. After traveling for 2 hours, Baba and his party reached Nidadu. Within 10 minutes of Baba's arrival, a large darshan program was held. During this program, Baba spontaneously decided to convey something special to the gathering, but as there was no microphone, Baba wasn't able to do this, which displeased him. Although the original schedule called for Baba to spend only an hour at Nidadu, Nidada,
Nedlavolu. There's Nedlavolu.
Nidlavolu. Okay. In addition
Nedlavolu.
to in addition to giving darshan to about 5,000 people, he decided to visit a few of his lovers' houses as well. He went to Andhra Meher Center, which was in the house of I.C. Mallikarjun Rao. Baba bowed down to his picture there, which was used for worship. He also visited the head office of KDRM. Then Baba went to C.S. Kutumba Shastri's house, where a woman who had been mistreated and finally kicked out of her home by her husband was introduced to Baba as a very unfortunate person. There was a serious look on Baba's face, and he gestured, "Why do you call her unfortunate when this has ultimately led her to be in the presence of God in human form? You should regard her as the most fortunate, more fortunate than the rishis and munis who have longed for ages for my darshan." Baba then lovingly turned his attention to the woman and gestured, "Don't worry, don't fear, I will help you. Remember me and my be happy. Remember me and be happy." Baba's response to those in need always seem so simple. And yet the God man's assurance, "Don't worry, I will help you," carries with it a deep internal assistance and is more effective than the most elaborate sermon from others. Somebody can continue, please.
Yeah. Ravi Garu, you want to read?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, Baba.
Thanks, Mamaji.
Incidentally, it may be added here that although sometimes it does seem that some people yearn for the avatar's contact for years, while others are granted this rare privilege without seemingly desiring it. The avatar, however, in his infinite compassion, always chooses the right moment for such contacts. It is never an instant too soon or a moment too late. A little after sunset, Baba left for Kovur, which he reached at 8 that night. He was led directly to P. Ramalingeswar Rao, Ramaling Rao's house. When the Mandali got down from their buses, they saw a large gathering of Ramaling's friends and relatives waiting to have Baba's darshan. What they did not know was that Ramaling's daughter was getting married, and thus the ranks of those waiting to greet Baba were swelled by the guests of the wedding party. In that crowd were many of the important people from the town and women dressed in elegant and beautifully colored saris. Liveliness and joy filled the air. A nice pandal had been erected, and a comfortable chair covered with a lion skin had been placed there for Baba. All of this care reflected Kaur's great love for Baba. In mid January, when Ramlings first heard of Baba's intended visit to Andhra, he had written him offering his services. He wrote that from the moment Baba entered Andhra to the instant he left, he would stay with him and assist him in any way he could. In response to this letter, a reply was sent to Ramling in which Baba nicknamed him Baba's PA, meaning personal assistant. Now, when Baba saw the large crowd waiting for him, he turned to Ramling and remarked, "You are my PA. You wish to see my comfort, and yet, after the very tiring program at Gopalapuram, where I had to give darshan from the top of the car, I find that instead of being allowed to rest there here, you expect me now to give darshan and meet all these people?" Ramling was tongue tied and immediately felt that Baba was right and that he had been inconsiderate of Baba's health in expecting him to meet so many of his relatives and wedding guests. K. Sastri then began reprimanding him, telling him that introductions to those gathered should be postponed till the next day, and Baba should be allowed to rest. This often happened around Baba. Concern for his well being would prompt others to speak out in situations where normally they would remain silent. Baba immediately intervened before any argument could ensure between Sastri and Ramling, and in his inimitable way, indirectly rebuked both of them while simultaneously reassuring them of his love. For eternity, I have been simultaneously experiencing continual rest and continual restlessness. Don't worry about my rest, but try to anticipate my needs and listen attentively to what I say. A night stay in the launches. Changing the subject slightly, Baba went on. At Nirdavolu, I wanted to dictate something, but they did not have a mic. Printed messages which had been dictated earlier were distributed. They have their significance. But messages dictated spontaneously are different. When I dictate on the board, on the spot, then those messages have a special significance. Last night, a dance was arranged at Tadepalligudam. I had to urge it to convey a message, but the mic that was there was out of order, completely out of context. Dhanapati suddenly interjected, "Baba, there is a good mast in Kuvur." Baba smiled and commented, "Now it seems that Dhanapati's mind, because of his love for me, has also gone out of order. If he were to see me as I really am, even just a glimpse, then he wouldn't interrupt me and say, 'Baba, take rest. Baba, take food.' And here is a must. He will then become a must himself." All present had a good laugh, and this served as a signal for an informal darshan to begin.
So beautiful to see these little
Hmm,
incidents and
hmm.
personal episodes. I think we all haven't been as lucky to, be present
Witness.
and
Hmm.
enjoy this directly.
Ramling had printed copies of the welcome address which were distributed. The opening lines gave an idea of his faith in Baba, for the address began, Blessed Baba, welcome Lord of Love, Lord Shiva himself. Then those present were introduced to Baba. As one person introduced all of his family members to Baba, from grandparents to grandchildren, Baba smiled and gestured. I am my own wife, my own husband, my own child. This is not just idle talk, but I am that. Despite his earlier remarks about wishing to rest, Baba not only met all those gathered, but also permitted them to perform his arti and then to come forward to garland him. There were flower garlands, lace garlands, camphor garlands, elaborate garlands for all sorts of sizes were lovingly placed around Baba's neck with such a rapidity that Irich quickly had to remove some before Baba's face was completely immersed in the flowers. Baba looking radiant and beaming his inimitable smile in receiving the garlands mirrored the love of those offering them to him. And accompanying Baba's smile was his blessing for each. After greeting all, Baba was led inside where he was served supper. By the time we finished our meals, it was past 9, and most of us were exhausted from the long day and wondering when we would be able to sleep. When we asked Pendu what the arrangements were, he informed us that he would be spending the night on launches on the Godavari River. This struck almost all of us as an excellent arrangement, for the thought of sleeping under the stars while the Godavari gently lapped against the sides of the launch seems most appealing. But as time passed away with no move being made to leave Ramling's house, some again approached Pendu to find out what was happening, and he said, "Forget about sleeping for a while. We still have to attend a program first." This program was news to us. Baba had been scheduled to give darshan to the next morning, but apparently, when he heard that hundreds of people, town folks and villagers, had already gathered in the pandal on the banks of the river, he agreed to stop there before retiring for the night. Baba often stated that he was the slave of the love of his lovers, and we saw proof of it again this night. For Baba really did look tired, but he did not want to disappoint the hearts of those who had gathered in his love and devotion. It seems that Baba's rest was in answering the restless calls of his lovers.
Wow.
By the time Baba reached the pandal, there were nearly 5,000 people there who hailed him as he arrived. The pandal had been nicely decorated and was illuminated well so that all could clearly see Baba. It has been noticed many times that when Baba appeared before the public, his face seemed to shine with a special radiance which enhanced his physical beauty. All were spellbound seeing Baba's luminous countenance. Many in the crowd spontaneously remarked, "What a divine expression! How divinely pure!" So intent were the people in gazing at Baba's charming, radiant face that even when the sound of fireworks, which had been arranged in Baba's honor, could be heard exploding outside, none left to look at them. Baba sat there for around half an hour, and the feast of his silent presence and vibrant love ended by around 10 that night. We then traveled only a short distance down the banks of the Godavari to where our launches were waiting. Baba's launch was quite well equipped. It had a separate bedroom, living room, dining room, and even electricity. Baba and four of the Mandali were to stay there. There were two other launches for the rest of those traveling with Baba. These were moored next to each other, and the quickest way to get from one to the other was simply to jump from one deck to deck. While we were scurrying about in the dark, there were only a few lanterns in each launch, looking for places to sleep and stow our bags. Helen of Dehradun misjudged the distance between the launches and fell into the river. Although he landed in waist deep water, he had the presence of mind to hold his bag over his head so it would not get soaked. In good natured camaraderie, this feat was cheered by the rest of us. It was after 11 when we finally got our luggage stowed away. As there were so many of us, we slept wherever we could, some on the roofs of the launches, some on the little deck space that was available, some inside. Once we were all settled, we cast off and set out for the opposite shore. As we approached, the engines were cut and anchors were dropped. Baba's launch continued until it was practically on the Rajahmundry's bank itself. This was done so that Baba would not be disturbed by any noise from the Kovur side or his people either. So this is Godavari River. I very much remember. I'm very familiar with the both the towns. Kovur on the one side,
Yeah.
south side,
Okay.
and the Rajahmundry, which is bigger city on the north side. And this is a big river. The bridge
Yeah, it's a
almost lasts about 1.5 to 2 kilometers.
wide. It's a
That
very
goes from
wide river. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. You have been there, right, Karthik?
Yes, I've been there. I've been there.
Yeah.
But so you're actually using the launch. Baba and his parties traveling by these launches to go from Kovur to Rajahmundry, is it?
No. They have cars and buses, but
Ah,
for the night they
they're
were staying
spending a
in these
night. Okay,
launches.
okay.
Yeah.
So it's like the
Um,
houseboat or whatever, just experience. Yeah. But
yeah. Our friend Raghav Garu, he was there too during this whole
oh
trip.
wow. Okay.
Uh, he was explaining all the incidences. I remembered
Okay.
what happened that evening, everything. At one point of time, I do not know when, maybe next day morning, early morning, Baba woke up and came outside the cabin, and he was very serious, dealing with some serious incident that lasted for a while, it seems. And
Okay.
then he became normal. What happened, what made Baba to be very serious, nobody
Unhappy.
knows. Unhappy, serious, something happening, and Baba was dealing with that, something like that. The next morning, a small boat brought large containers full of tea and South Indian delicacies, such as upuma for breakfast. It was delightful on the river in the early morning, seeing the sun shining on the sparkling waters and Kovur nestled along the bank on the far side. Sevak Kotwal was in charge of catering, and so he accepted the food and then distributed it to all on the two launches where we were staying. There was plenty, and we enjoyed ourselves. After breakfast, our launches were taken all the way to the Rajahmundry side, where Baba's launch was already anchored. Baba was strolling on the beach with a few of his mandali. He could see a crowd forming on the Kovur banks and turned to Irich and inquired, "What time is it? It's getting late. Already people are waiting for me, and we haven't even had our breakfast yet." Just then, Kodur Krishnarao, who had sent us our morning refreshments, had himself taken across the river to Baba to make sure he had everything he needed. Baba greeted him in a solemn mood and gestured, "Why didn't you send breakfast for me?" "But I did, Baba," Krishna Rao replied. In his all knowing, if you go to Mehrastan in Kovur, his
Uh-huh.
house is right there.
Oh, okay. Krishna Rao.
And
He's the
Baba,
main person.
he's the main person, rich person,
Okay.
and Baba told him, "Don't collect any single rupee from somebody else. You spend all the money to construction of this Mehrastan on the
Oh,
temple." So that's how he did it, and his son also is taking care now. He also
okay.
became old, but his son is taking care of the Mehrastan now.
Hmm.
Uh, that
So I must have
Mehrastan is very
seen because
powerful.
yeah, very nice. There's a lot of the statue is special.
Special, and Baba himself posed for that statue, and
Correct.
it looks very, very natural. Baba's
Correct.
figure. Um, in his all-knowing ignorance, Baba totally overlooked this and continued, "You have forgotten the avatar and remembered only his monthly." Krishna Rao looked puzzled, but did not say anything. It was not his way to argue or offer excuses on his behalf. To his immense surprise, Baba unexpectedly turned to one of his monthly and gestured, "Throw him in the river." river. Kodur Krishna Rao was startled by the authoritative tone with which Yirit spoke this out, and by the fact that instantly one of the Mandi stepped forward to grab him. Instinctively, without thinking, Krishna Rao retreated. This chase continued for a minute or two until Baba called both to him. Krishna Rao's mind was too shaken by the incident to appreciate the fact that Baba's very order that he be thrown into the Godavari indicated the special intimacy that Baba felt for him. Baba would never have given such an order to someone who was not one of his close ones. Krishna Rao was not aware of this at the time, however, and his mind was in a state of turmoil as he approached. Baba gestured, "Forget about it. Don't worry, I forgive you." And he smiled. While Krishna Rao was still reeling under the shock of what just happened, transpired the Mandali's launches pulled up at shore some distance from where Baba was standing. Baba called for Sevakotwal. "Did you have a good breakfast?" Baba asked. "Yes, Baba," Sevak answered. "It was very nice that we had more than enough." Baba's eyebrows rose, and as though in surprise, and instead of looking pleased, Baba seemed upset and then informed Sevak, "While you were seeing that everyone on the two launches had enough to eat, Baba's lunch was not provided with anything. Do you know that?" This came as a shock to Sevak, who was responsible for seeing that all received their meals. Sevak apologized and asked Baba's pardon for the mistake that had occurred. Apparently, what had happened was that Krishna Rao had sent the food in a launch and had either forgotten to inform the boatmen that some of the refreshments were to be taken to Baba's launch, or the boatmen had not properly understood his instructions. When Sevak received the tea and delicacies, he assumed that a similar arrangement must have been made for Baba's breakfast and that he had been sent directly to his lunch. As Baba's lunch was moved at a distance, it wasn't possible to simply call out and make sure. It was one's fault, really. Just a
It's
case
no
of
one's fault.
lack of communication. It's just a case. It was no
Yeah.
one's fault, really. just a case of lack of communication. To some, it may appear that Baba's displeasure was completely out of proportion to the cause. But Baba's action cannot be compared to those of an ordinary man. He expressed certain emotions only because through them he was able to reach deep into the hearts of his dear ones to awaken love. To say that Baba got angry is, in a way, not right. Even to say Baba was annoyed or upset, irritated or displeased doesn't capture what it was like when Baba was out of mood. Baba's moods were such that if he was happy, others felt happy just being in his presence. When Baba became serious or solemn, whether he said anything or not, all felt solemnity about him. When Baba lost his mood, it was like dark rain clouds suddenly covering the sun. What hurt the Mandali most was to find Baba in an unhappy mood owing to some negligence on their part. And the reaction Baba's anger caused in those who experienced it was very different from what might be expected from a worldly standpoint. It was like a delicate surgery which created, through temporary agony, lasting love. Baba called Krishna Rao to him. Krishna Rao was a tall man with strong, broad shoulders. When he hurried over, Baba turned to him and conveyed, Sevak is the one entrusted with the duty of catering. Yet he only thought about those on the other launches, and he did not think of me. Will you now obey me, if I ask you to do something for me? Krishnara was still shaken from his experience of Baba's displeasure and humbly replied, Yes, Baba. Baba then gestured, Get a strong rope and a big stone, tie it around Sevak's neck, and throw him in the middle of the Godavari. Baba then turned and casually walked away. Once more, Krishna's mind was plunged in confusion, while his heart was throwing into turmoil. Seeing him hesitate, Sevak urged him, Hurry up, carry out Baba's orders. Krishna was astonished. How could this be? He knew from his own experience how difficult it was to obey such an order, and here one of Baba's Mandali was blaming him for not seeing to his execution promptly enough. He marveled at Sevak's faith and love, but his eagerness to literally follow Baba's order indicated a devotion to Baba whose depths he could not begin to fathom. But despite Savak's promptings, he could not bring himself to throw Savak into the river. Further complicating the situation was the fact that there were no large stones or even small ones to be seen on the shore, so literal obedience to the order did not seem possible. Krishna Rao hesitantly approached Baba and confessed his inability to carry out this order. Baba did not reply at once, but that silence churned up many an emotion in Krishna Rao's heart. Finally and suddenly, to Krishna Rao's delight, the expression of displeasure on Baba's face disappeared, and he told him not to worry about it. Then he called Sevak over and also pardoned him for his negligence. After doing that, Baba changed the subject completely and seemed to forget about the whole affair. This too was typical of Baba's way of working with his lovers. He might seem to take one to task for some trifling affair, blowing it up completely out of proportion. But when he forgave, it was done so wholeheartedly that it was as if the matter had never happened. Yet, it was not so easy for Krishna Rao to forget it at all. After a while, all were instructed to get into the launches to head back to Kovur. Krishna Rao had tremendous respect for Baba, which was why he had come forward to act as Baba's host. But his heart had not completely accepted Baba as the avatar. This incident, however, far from convincing Krishna Rao that Baba was a hard-hearted and capricious taskmaster, was instrumental in helping him love Baba as the God man. Krishna Rao's subsequent faith and conviction in Baba, there was
Yeah.
capricious taskmaster, instrumental in helping him from Baba as a God man. Krishna Rao's subsequent faith and conviction in Baba's love were marvelous to behold. In later years, they prompted him, at considerable expense, to erect on his own property a beautiful monument of stone and bronze to commemorate the Avatar's visit and to inspire others to love him as he should be loved. We cannot truly understand the way in which the Avatar tunes the hearts of his lovers. We can only marvel at the beauty of the music they ultimately produce.
Beautiful.
Savak's desperate yearning to be with Baba. Here it seems reasonable and appropriate as well to digress a little and briefly recount Savak's coming to Baba. This will give something of the flavor of the lives of those who surrendered totally to Meher Baba, the God man, and sincerely tried to follow his every wish. They only wanted to please him, whose slightest act they believed was a selfless dispensation of divine love, not only to them, but for all humanity. The least negligence on their part in following Baba's instructions was torture to them. This was the life of the Mandali, a life of complete surrender in obedience to the eternal master, the avatar. Savak came from a middle class family and had a job in Bombay in the Bank of India. At the age of 23, he fell in love with Nargis, who was then 19. She was from a very wealthy family, but she and Savak loved each other despite the difference in their social status. Nargis' parents, however, were opposed to the marriage. They were concerned that their daughter would not be able to lead a comfortable life if married to Savak. But Nargis insisted, and she and Savak married in spite of her parents' reservations. In those days of arranged marriages, this caused quite a commotion in the Parsi community. Although Savak and Nargis were happy together, a great spiritual longing developed in Savak. After office hours, instead of going home, he took to visiting sadhus and saints in Bombay, and he would spend a good deal of money in serving them. Luckily, in the course of his spiritual search, Savak had the rare good fortune of meeting Upasni Maharaj, Hazrat Baba Jan, and Narayan Maharaj, three of the perfect masters of the time. While reading Sakori Na Sadguru, a biography in Gujarati of Upasni Maharaj, Savak for the first time came across Meher Baba's name. Later, while visiting Hazrat Baba Jan, he overheard someone commenting that Baba Jan was Meher Baba's Sadguru. The same person also happened to mention that Meher Baba was staying at Meherabad near Ahmednagar. Hearing this, Savak spontaneously had the urge to visit Meher Baba. The moment saw Baba, he knew he had found the one for whom he had been searching. After that first meeting, even though it entailed a 12-hour train ride each way, Savak would go to Ahmednagar almost every weekend to be with Baba. During the week, as soon as his work was over, he would go to Chowpatty, a beach where he would feed any sadhus that were there, regardless of whether they were genuine or not. A considerable part of his income was spent in this way. Sevak also continued to visit Upasni Maharaj, Hazrat Babajan, and Narayan Maharaj. But now, each time he met them, he would simply pray to them, "May Meher Baba's grace descend upon me. Please grant me this." On weekdays, after feeding the sadhus, Savak would return home and spend rest of his time well into the night reading spiritual books. The Kabir Vani, the couplets of Kabir, the perfect master, was one of his favorites. Nargis, out of love for Savak, did her best to try and stay awake as he read, although he had no real interest in spiritual subject.
She she had no
She,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
She had
She
no,
had no real
no,
interest. Yeah,
yeah. Nargis found it difficult to understand Shavak's preoccupation as she had no learning towards spirituality. Savak, on the other hand, seemed quite content in spending almost all of his time and money either visiting Baba or serving sadhus in Bombay, while virtually ignoring his wife and newly born daughter. I used to know her very well. What's her name?
Nargis?
No,
Oh,
no,
you mean
her sister.
Nargis's daughter?
Nargis's
Ah,
daughter. Yeah.
oh, okay.
She wrote a book also. Mm.
Oh, okay.
She used to live in Mehrabad, then later on she moved to Bombay.
Okay.
Her sister's name, what is that? Nargis itself? She used to live in London. I think she's still there. I'm not sure. Hmm. One
Okay.
time, on hearing that Baba had come to Bombay, Nargis, in desperation, went to Dina Talati's to meet him. Baba walked in and walked past her without her
No,
noticing
no,
him.
no. I think we
Then,
missed a paragraph. Nargis's parents, especially her father. We have
oh,
start from there. Yeah,
okay.
yeah, yeah.
Sorry. Nargis's parents, especially her father, were quite distressed at this and feeling that she was being neglected, suggested she divorce Sevak and come and stay with them. Nargis told her father that whatever was happening to her was her destiny and she must face it. However, as time passed, she became interested in meeting this Meher Baba, who seemed to be stealing her husband's heart and making him forget all about his family and worldly responsibilities. One day, on hearing that Baba had come to Bombay, Nargis, in desperation, went to Dina Talati's to meet him. Baba walked in and walked past her without her noticing him. Then Vishnu, one of Baba's Mandali, entered the room and asked her to come in and see Baba. She entered and sat before Baba, exclaiming, "So you are Meher Baba." Baba nodded that he was. And then, with obvious concern, asked her what she wanted. The look of loving compassion which Nargis saw in Baba's face unleashed all of her pent up emotions, and she burst into tears and complained that Savak was neglecting her and their newborn child. Nazu Katwal. Yeah, her name was,
Nazukotwa.
first daughter was Nazu Katwal. She wrote a book.
Okay.
Baba nodded tenderly and said, "I have come not to separate, but to unite." These words pierced her heart. Baba added, "Don't worry, everything will be all right." Nargis felt reassured, and inwardly she was filled with joy. Baba also moderated Savak's enthusiasm for visiting sadhus by remarking, remark, remarking once, "Those who have come in contact with the emperor do not need to seek favor of the gods to gain admittance to his palace. Wow. After this, Savak stopped visiting them unless on Baba's orders. This reminds me, whenever I come to Mehrabad, I always think I should go to all these perfect master places. Uh, and never on my own went out of Mehrabad. I thought I'm at Avatar's place. Why do I
Exactly.
need to go to other place? I didn't even go to what is
Shirdi,
the Narayan Maharaja's place? Very close.
Kedgaon.
Kedgaon. Yeah.
Mm.
Although I happened
Incidentally,
to
I've
go to
never been there.
Shirdi.
Incidentally, I've never been
Yeah.
to Kedgaon, in spite of my hundreds of visits to Mehrabad. Hundreds,
Mm,
maybe.
mm,
I think it would
yeah.
have reached 100 by now. I should
But
go
Narayan
once.
Maharaj made you visit him in Bangalore.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
Maharaj.
I
And
visited
that
his
I
place.
visited
Yeah.
very early on. When I
Uh,
came to Baba, one of the first things I did was research the Bangalore places, and I went to Narayan Maharaj. Yes.
It was not easy. For us, it was difficult, very difficult. That
What is that?
temple. It was not easy to find that temple,
Find.
Narayan
Hmm.
Maharaja's. Yeah.
Yeah.
Geeta and I
Uh,
went to visit.
oh, okay. It's actually not very difficult. Maybe it was not well signed. No signs were there before. Oh, there's even
Yeah.
a sign and
Mm.
everything. Yeah. So I
For
will
the
just see how big is this section. Yeah, let's just finish off the three paragraphs to end our Kotwal story, and then wrap it
okay.
up. But please stay on. I have
Oh,
a anecdote to share after we
okay.
stop recording. Yeah.
For the next 12 years, although Nargis was still primarily interested in raising a family and leading an ordinary worldly life, he helped Savak do whatever they could for Baba. She used to stitch clothes for the mass and mad in Baba's ashrams. Savak, who was still working at the bank, longed to be with Baba permanently. However, in 1939, he wrote to Baba a letter in which he poured out his heart, explaining how his only desire was to leave everything and come stay with Baba. Baba replied, Dear Savak, I know how you long. I know how you feel. I know what you think. Don't worry and leave everything to me. This letter, signed by Baba, only fueled the fire of Savak's longing, and on the day he was promoted from post of a cashier to that of an agent of the bank, the branch in Bombay, a prestigious post, both socially and financially. He resigned from his job. Nargis was appalled when she heard of Savak's rash decision, but he explained that he couldn't concentrate any more on his job because his longing to join Baba had become overpowering. Nargis wrote to Baba about Savak's reckless move, and Baba immediately called Savak to Bangalore to see him. Savak explained to Baba that he could no longer bear to stay in the world, and since Baba would not allow him to come live with him, he was going to go to the Himalayas. Baba looked serious at this and conveyed, If you can find any guru who is greater than I, then you may go to the Himalayas. Otherwise, you should come to stay with me. This was the most unexpected yet most welcome invitation, and Savak immediately renounced his idea of going to Himalayas and declared without hesitation that he intended to come and stay with Baba. To you, I
So
shall give
is
the
he
darshan.
Mandali? No, let's stop here so that it's a logical point. Oh, and it's also perfectly 9 o'clock. So have you met Savak Kotwal?
No, I did not. I
Okay.
only used to meet Nazu Katwal, her daughter.
And is he treated as Mandali? If so, is it
I
like,
don't
should he
know.
be?
To be honest with
Yeah.
you, I don't know. I'm
Okay.
not sure.
Yeah. I don't know.
But
I
they
mean,
all were living. Even Nargis also came and lived with them, with the two daughters and one son, I think,
okay.
one son. And what happened was in 90s, the son, his brother, Nazu's brother, Sevakotwal's son and wife and the kids, I think one kid, they were coming from Bombay to Mehrabad and they met with an accident.
Oh,
And both the father and mother died, and the baby was alive.
oops.
And somebody from
Oh,
the roadside, they took the baby and put in the hospital. And then it took a while for Mehrabad people to know that this accident happened. And some people ran there and tried to search, and they had a lot of difficulty. I even met the people who were telling me who went there in Mehrabad. This happened sometime in 90s. And finally, they were able to find which place, which hospital, and they found out about their son. And yeah, that's what I heard from somebody. But Nazu Katwal used to live in Mehrabad, lower Mehrabad, and then she moved for some reason to Bombay. I don't know why. And she died recently. Very recently, she died.
okay.
Very sweet lady.
Interesting. Interesting. Very interesting. I know Sanjay
There's
ji is
one
not there. He also
fa-
mentioned about Savak Kotwal.
some
So,
famous book, right? Very famous book actually.
oh, okay. I have not heard of that. Naju Kotwal's
Yeah,
book.
yeah.
No, the
Gift of
book.
gift of gift of gift of something names.
Are you Grace of God? Are you confused with Arnavaz's book? That's very
Yeah,
famous.
Arnavaz book. Yeah, Arnavaz
Ah,
book, I
this
think.
that's different.
Arnavaz book.
That's different. That's Grace of God.
Okay, okay. Grace of
That's a
God. Yeah.
beautiful book. Yeah, but yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Oh my God.
Arnavaz.
Very touching.
Very touching. Very touching.
Arnavaz was a circle member.
Yes, she was a circle member. Yes. Okay. On that note, let me stop recording. Avtar Meher Baba ki jai.